tell us who you are and what you do.
Of course. Very lovely to say that I've inspired you. That is the plan, that is the hope. But, as always, military life comes to trip us up and sometimes a little bit fiddly. But yes, I'll introduce myself. I am Jess Sands, the founder of a network of military spouses, partners and other halves. It's called MILSPO, as in military spouses, partners, other halves, but there's also widows and we have a few veterans sprinkled in. And it is just a huge network of military partners who run their own business, who find themselves in this military life that can be tricky when you're trying to run your own business, when you're trying to do anything really. But we focus on business and entrepreneurial support and looking after them so that they can build a business that thrives in military life rather than just survives. It's all about inspiration and the positives of military life. We find them. There's so few, but we find them and showcase them, and just show the world that there is so much more to us than what they see on the TV.
My understanding is that a huge number of spouses turn to entrepreneurship or setting up their own company for lack of other opportunities, or do you think it's because of the life they're leading? Why do you think there's such a high number that do that, in your opinion?
I think it's flexibility. So I started my business purely because, well, Lynham closed, RAF Lynham closed, which is aging me terribly, but I ended up living and loving my boyfriend, who is in the Air Force. He's now my husband, and having to leave my job. Some say I chose to leave my job, but it was his job or my job. And we moved because he got posted and nobody wanted to employ me. That's the sad reality of it. I would go to job interviews and people would say, sorry, we don't employ military wives or army wives. That's what they used to say back in the day. And this was the middle of Afghanistan, so he was away all of the time. We had just moved. I didn't know anybody. And I thought, you know what? I'll just get a new job. It wasn't that easy. In fact, it was impossible. And I went to quite a few big publishers, because I'm a graphic designer, who actually said the words, no, we don't employ military spouses. Times have changed. It is getting better.
Why do you think that they were saying no?
Because military. So I've written a book about this. I think the public perception of military spouses are that they are army wives, all female, all living at home, probably with 2.4 children, tissues in hand, crying, waiting for their serving soldiers to come home. And I think that is, I think that's the legacy of the previous wars and how the armed forces have been seen by the public. It's Witten Bassett, and it's soldiers, always soldiers, never military, never the Air Force, never the Navy. It's always soldiers coming home with a flag.
Soldier sitcom didn't help,
Isn't
really.
it? I know.
Yeah.
And that's what the perception is, that we are housewives that stay at home and, look after the home front. But it's so different to that. The modern world, the modern world doesn't fit with having a housewife. And it would be a wonderful world where the serving person, be they male or female, could earn enough to support both of us.
That's the point.
But that's not the way the world works anymore.
So you then got rejected from roles and you thought, right, I won't cry about it. What do you do next?
I didn't do too much crying about it. Well, I got angry and drank a lot of wine. Then I got over it and realised that I'm a graphic designer, so it's natural for me to go freelance. So I was freelancing for my old companies, did a lot of networking, had a lovely time. We were at Bryce Norton then, so I was networking in the local community. Business was great. And then, of course, we got moved. We had a posting notice, it was time to move. And I realised in the next posting that my network had gone because they had moved, and my clients had forgotten me, and then my clients where we used to live near Lynham had moved on because they all got promoted. So I just found myself with an amazing business and absolutely no clients. And living in a place for a year is not long enough for you to build your client base. So business was not as booming as you'd like it to be. And my husband was still away because he's in the Air Force. And it was a bit miserable, but I loved my business and I loved meeting people talking about business because I kept going to these coffee mornings, which are great.
Coffee mornings.
I do. I love a coffee morning. But if you don't have a child to use as a human shield, why are you there? And now I have a child that I use as my human shield. And they're still really fiddly, and you have to be really brave to go to a coffee morning. But I have the theory, if you're brave enough to go to a military coffee morning, you can run a business easily. That is basically what I'm working with here.